So I'm recording this video to talk about increasing your presence on social media. And for me, I've been working in the music business for at least 5 years now. And I started out when I was a senior in high school, and I started promoting like different local bands that I got in touch with. But when I got to college, I started looking into all these different avenues, and I wasn't really sure if going into a marketing type major was really my forte. Even though a lot of people were kind of pushing me in that direction, they were like, wow, you're really good at this, like this is something you should consider. And even though I was considering that, I was like, well, I want a job after graduation. So what I did is I started out as international business, and then I realized that I was actually doing pretty well with marketing and promoting bands after I found a couple of them online my freshman year of college and really started helping them transform and make their fan bases grow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of the tips that I've learned from not only my own efforts of helping different bands out, but also what I've learned from interning at record labels and live music events. And, just kind of getting my, I don't want to say hands in there, but kind of getting my hands in there and messing around with, different techniques and promotional avenues that you can really use and help and benefit for yourself. But what has also helped me is that I didn't just do a music business route, I did a business with a marketing route. So as I supplemented myself with all the other internships and things like that, that's how I got my music business background. And also I'm a musician myself. And then at that same time, I was going for my business degree with marketing, so that gave me like the financial and accounting and all those different aspects of seeing how to run it as a business, but then to also see on this side of how you run it as a band. And that kind of really helped me kind of form this whole thing. So now that I've kind of established and hopefully have given myself some credibility as to helping you out, the first thing I want to talk about is how it's really important that you just pay the money and you make a website for yourself. And with the website, you make a Twitter account, Facebook account, Tumblr account, YouTube account, Pinterest account, and any other social media account that you really think. Instagram's also really awesome. But you just want to set yourself up on all the social media platforms first, because if someone hears your song and they want to follow you, they might not have Twitter, or they might only have Instagram, or they might only have YouTube. So they're going to look for you on those sites that they use, and if you don't have something for them to follow, then they're not going to follow you, and chances are they'll forget about you. So it's always really important that, first things first, you have the website and you have all of your social media bases covered. Once you have everything laid out and you have your name across literally every freaking platform that you can possibly imagine, and you have your domain registered, that's when you start going into and promoting yourself and connecting with people on the internet. Now, for me personally, I think that Instagram and Twitter are the best ways to do this right off the bat. And with Twitter, what's awesome about it, and I personally, this is my forte, is Twitter is great because you can go through and see what people are searching. So if someone is searching up, let's say you're an indie rock band from, I don't know, New York or Rochester or something, and you want to find people who are searching like Walk the Moon or Mary Lambert or A Great Big World, because you feel your music is really similar to them. So what you want to do is you want to go into Twitter on the little search bar, type that in, and not looking at the accounts and following the accounts of the actual artist, but looking at the newsfeed of people who are writing about that. And whoever is writing about the artist is who you want to follow, because they're looking and listening to that artist, and they feel compelled enough to write about them in a tweet, not just follow them. So those are the people you want, because they're going to be the most dedicated to you in the long run. After you get those people going and you kind of introduce yourself on the internet, you want to make sure that your Twitter account is fully up and functional. So you need a cover photo, you need the profile picture, and you need the backdrop. Plus, you need to make sure that either your YouTube or your website is included in the link, and you have a great biography with another link attached into your biography on your Twitter profile. Now, once you can get your Twitter up and going a little bit further, it's kind of important that you consistently talk with your fans. So when you talk with your fans, you want to make sure that you're asking them how their day is. You want to make sure that you're favoriting their tweets and you're retweeting them, and you're showing as much attention to them as you want them to show to you. It's kind of like that old saying, I want to be treated as other people are treating me or whatever. After you kind of get your Twitter up and you have your Facebook, I don't really think it's important necessarily to continue and really go gung-ho all on Facebook right away. But what I do think is that you need a Facebook and you need at least some sort of a presence on there. So link it all up through Hootsuite, which is my favorite account to use because it's so easy and you save time, and it even has Google Plus function, so it even posts to your Google Plus page for you, and I think it's the only one that does that. I'm not totally sure on that. But when you get to Twitter and you can build your following up, that's when you start promoting your Facebook page on there. So then you can kind of connect people and be like, oh, hey, like us on Facebook. But in reality, like, the thing you're doing is posting the same information on all your accounts. So it doesn't totally matter, but it still is a good method just to have, and just to have it on there because it helps build with your SEO on your website, which we're getting to. After you kind of can work together on creating your Facebook and your Twitter page, it's so important that you have an Instagram too. And with Instagram, like, taking pictures and posting pictures, everyone is really visual, and it's proven that, like, there's a higher click-through rate on people who post pictures with their tweets. So the same picture that you're posting on Instagram, make sure it's the same picture you're posting on Twitter. With every tweet that you have of people that you want to click on a link, post a picture with it, because they'll see it and they'll want to register with it. Even every single tweet that you have, if you have to post a picture with it, do it. They want to see it, and it helps people get their attention. With Instagram, same with Twitter, you can go through and you can follow all of these different people, and it's awesome because, I mean, you have such a great tool, so use it and connect with people who are into the same bands and interest in sounds that what you have going for you. Now, what I think is really important is establishing those three foundations first, but making sure that you have a website. And with your website, you want to make sure that it's being constantly updated. Now, what I find is the most effective method of running a website is making sure that you have a blog. Now, the blog, if you are starting out as any single person or anyone, even if you're in a business or whatever, making sure that your blog isn't not only talking about who you are, but is also talking about everything else that's going on in the entertainment world or whatever that your page is interested in. Because what that's going to do is, once you set up all of your meta tags and your feeds and looking into your Google Analytics, is that will help you to kind of target the posts that you want. But that's also going to bring people to your site organically who may have never heard of you before. So writing a blog about certain things like guitars, or looking into Gibson, or looking into Fender, or looking into different Yamaha, and all these different brands, and then writing about them and like your own opinion on them really helps build your SEO, and that'll help your Google search or your Bing search, because as soon as someone types it all in, your website's going to pop up, and they're going to click on it, and they're going to see, like, oh, well, this person kind of wrote a review about a Gibson guitar, and they might not even be looking for your music, but they might be looking, and since they are looking for a Gibson guitar, they're going to get to your website anyway, and that's going to pull them in, hopefully stay on there and go through your other pages, and then click to see what other music you have. And even if you have, like, those instruments with you, show a little tutorial of you playing and upload that tutorial to your YouTube channel, so you also have a review of the instrument with the video and a visual connected to your blog, and Google will just, like, freaking love you, because Google ranks your website based on how many of their services you use. So if you're using YouTube and you include that and verify your website through YouTube, they're going to love you. If you're connected with Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools, they're going to love you even more, and your rank's going to go up slowly, but it's the most effective way in the long run with white hat marketing. But, I know I said but a lot. Anyway, if you are looking into that blogging kind of atmosphere and doing that, another option is Google+. And Google+, you know, it's kind of crazy because I personally have never really thought about doing Google+ until I started up a YouTube channel. And I found, like, the coolest people on Google+. They are just, like, the nicest people that I've ever met, and they're really supportive, and it's just a really cool community. It's kind of like what Facebook was at the beginning, so it's really neat if you can get into it first. And find people who are following like the bands that have a Google Plus page that you're most similar to, kind of like the method that I've said about Twitter and Facebook and all those other things, and build up your following that way. But connect it with your Hootsuite account, because once you connect it with your Hootsuite, then one post on Hootsuite will send out to all your channels, and it just helps with tracking the statistics and all those different things. So once you get your blog up and running and you have the links to the different individual posts with pictures, and make sure that you go through and kind of look into your SEO, and I'll do a separate video on SEO for bands and later, because this is going to get like really long. And so once you get your website up and going, you want to kind of have your blog post and then share the links on your different sites. So once your posts are going out and people are reading your post, you're going to start increasing your followers, but not just because they like your music, but because they like, what you're also talking about. So that's really going to help you out in the long run. And I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of people who are currently being famous on YouTube have been doing this for a long time, and kind of working together with their music and their YouTube channel and doing covers, and really building up this nice little community that they have in their website. And that's also brings me to my next topic. So once you get a YouTube page, I can't tell you the amount of people that I've met, and there's one band who I think is really great, and they're a band out of LA who is also from Cleveland, who they're rock, and they used to post covers of themselves doing really, like, all these different bands, I don't even know, but they would post covers of the bands, and they would put them on YouTube and stuff. And as soon as they recorded their original and first song, they took off all of their covers from YouTube, which was not the smartest thing in the world to do, and only had their song up. Well, that's great, but no one's going to care about you. Sorry to tell you this, but like, no one cares at all about you right away on YouTube, especially if you're not showing your love for other artists that people would like. So if whatever music type of genre you're going into, make sure you start covering those bands and those artists. So if you're like a Great Big World or Switchfoot, start covering Switchfoot songs, start covering Taylor Swift, start covering whatever's really popular, and kind of give your own twist on it, because that's really going to drive the traffic to you. And if you're good and people want to listen to more, not only will they click on that video, but they're going to start going through your other videos, and your views are going to go up, and that also increases your SEO on your website. So website, YouTube helps tremendously in doing those covers and posting on your website after you do a cover, and kind of linking everything together and then posting that to your Hootsuite. So once you get kind of all this kind of going together, it really isn't a hard system to follow. You just need a little bit of time and a little bit of patience when you're looking into all the different methods of it. But I'm running a little bit late on this video, but I want to say, like, once you start getting a following and you start getting some shows, even if you're playing at a local bar, what's really important is that you have your name behind you as your Twitter link. So skip the website. No one's going to go to your website. Everyone's going to go to Twitter. Skip the link for your website. Have it, obviously, get some business cards and stuff to pass out, or some flyers, and do the traditional form of marketing for a band. But you want to make sure that you're wearing t-shirts that even have your Twitter name on it. Get them custom made and just get the t-shirts on it. And what that's going to do is, people are constant. Like, they don't want to wait for something. So if they see something and they want it, they're going to react right away. They're going to go on Twitter, they're going to type in your band, and they're going to click follow. So even though it might look completely corny with you wearing the name on your shirt, you can find other methods. Put it on a drum, put it on a guitar, put it on something, and make sure that it's visible, because people are totally going to use that as a way to interact with you at the show, and then hopefully they'll even mention you and say something like that. So that kind of brings me to my second point, and that is, as soon as someone follows you on Twitter and as soon as someone mentions you, you want to reply to them. There's so many people that are like, who think they're a bigger deal than they actually are, and they don't reply to people, and they don't answer them, or they don't follow them back, or favorite their tweets, or whatever. And I just think that's stupid. These people are going out of their way to make sure that they tell you how happy and supportive they are of you, and if you can't even give that back to them, then you don't deserve to be on any platform or to be famous or anything at all. You need to show how appreciative you are. So at the shows, people follow you after the show, follow them back, send them a tweet, tell them how happy and thankful you are that they even came out to it, because that's their time, that's their money, and they took a chance on a new band that, they might not have even been there to see. They might have been there to see someone else, but they still made sure that they want to follow you, and that's pretty awesome. And it's just a really nice way to build up that online community, because the more you build, the bigger that you'll be, if that makes sense. I think that was kind of corny, but so you're finding your followers online, you're finding them through your blog, you're finding them through your Facebook page, which you will and you won't. I mean, it's all kind of a catch-22 right now with Facebook. I think they're doing some weird stuff with charging people, and I don't really know. I've used it when Facebook really was great for promoting yourself, and I'm using it right now for a city I'm promoting. And I think for what I'm doing with a city, it's great because, the people that want to follow and see what's going on in the city are older. And that kind of is where the audience is right now on Facebook. A lot of people who are younger aren't even on Facebook anymore because, one, they don't want it for their job searches. If you're in college, everyone's like, oh, get rid of your Facebook page. It's the first thing to get rid of. And two, I think people are just tired of it because they're like, oh, our parents are getting on Facebook and we don't want them to see what we're doing. So if you're going for an older audience, I guess Facebook is the way to go. But if you're not, then still have it, and you can still kind of have people connect with you through that way and that effort. Same goes for Pinterest. Pinterest is great, and because it also builds up your search engine optimization, which is what SEO means if you're not really familiar with that. And they have their own search engine optimization tool. So having a Pinterest page is really kind of helpful. Even if you're not posting a lot on it, you kind of have to gauge your success on Pinterest. And that's the great thing about social media. If one of your accounts isn't working out, you haven't put any money down at all to do any of this. This is all completely free. And that's what's great. If your Pinterest page or your Google Plus page is doing terrible, then still have it and still, update it through Hootsuite, but maybe focus more of your time and interest on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and on whatever sites are giving you the most interaction, focus most of your time on that than the sites that aren't. So you're not really losing time and you're focusing on what's important and what's making you a name. So that's kind of my tip on doing the social media is you're not losing anything really on that. With another aspect of doing this, positive feedback is great. So as soon as someone tweets that they really love your band, make sure you keep those tweets and make sure you screenshot those tweets and make sure you are collecting every single compliment that someone leaves for you and all of your views and all of your followers, because this is what is going to land you the possibility of getting signed by a record label or getting a manager. Because even before you can get to a record label, you need someone to manage you. And to handle, all of the paperwork and all that other crap. Even though it would be way easier if record labels would just, sign people and kind of listen to their demos. Because I'm sure, a lot of people get a lot of great talent. But if you have a huge following on all these different accounts and you have a lot of people complimenting you and showing that they support you, you're going to be so much more likely to get a record label or someone like that to notice you and come out to your show, because they're going to see all of this online buzz, and that's really what will get you that record deal and get you to the top. So basically those are my tips. I'm trying to keep this under 20 minutes. I could go on forever, but I won't. I'll try to make another video about search engine optimization, but if you have any comments or suggestions, or if you want to talk about it, you can email me. You can send me a tweet. Actually, I'm on Twitter, so follow me. It's at Anthony Pirro, and the O is actually 0 because some person took my last name. Well, not really took my last name, but they took my Twitter, and they don't even use it, which is really kind of freaking annoying. So it's a 0 instead of an O. So follow me on there, and we can even talk on there. I'm on Facebook, but like I said, I don't really use it. And, I have a website too, which is aapiro.com. And there's a hyphen between the A and the Piro. But follow me on Twitter, leave a comment below, subscribe, And hopefully, if you need any other advice, you can just ask me and I can be of some assistance. So, thanks and have a great rest of your day or night.